Over the weekend, what is being hailed as an historic moment by some, almost 200 delegates representing the nations of the world reached an agreement, an accord, which will take effect in 2020. This is the COP21 Climate Change Summit in Paris. This is potentially a big positive step forward, but that depends on the behaviour of people and countries in the years to come. So the aims are to keep average global temperature increases under 2 degrees Celsius and to pursue efforts to limit the increase to 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels. That's very ambitious, yeah. The aim also is to reach a peak in greenhouse gas emissions ASAP. The way in which we generate energy, it just has to change. I've been saying it for years now, we have to stop using fossil fuels. One criticism of this particular deal is that the language is confused, unclear. There is an article on loss and damage from climate change, which many poorer nations have welcomed, yeah. But the question of liability wasn't mentioned in this document. And there are also opt-out clauses and allowances for delays in terms of coming into the system, yeah. Obama said this agreement is the best chance we have to save the one planet we've got. As I said, this comes into effect in 5 years, and a progress review is to take place every 5 years, as is my understanding. As soon as this greenhouse gas peak is reached, emissions should be cut rapidly. That's the plan. On the financial side, the equivalent of 65 billion quid per year to help developing poorer nations keep up, adapt to the changes, is, that's one of the measures of this deal. Is that money going to the poorer nations going to be enough? I don't know. Perhaps the biggest criticism I've heard in the days following from this deal is that the document doesn't have enough in it that is legally binding. The deal in and of itself, although a step in a positive direction, isn't enough. Not enough. And further negotiations and tough talk and wrangling and diplomacy will be necessary. So goes the media narrative. United States Secretary of State John Kerry said at the end of the conference, quote, "We are sending a critical message to the global marketplace." Yeah. Has this Paris deal got oil companies and gas giants worried? Maybe. Am I the only one who thinks we are way behind when it comes to where we should be, or could have been, when it comes to the issue of dealing with climate change? Of course I'm not the only one. But this is where we are in 2015. Yeah. Again, I have to come back to the point. The UN is not enough. It isn't strong enough to lead. A far stronger organisation of countries and peoples is required on the world stage. Yeah. What this deal, flawed as it is, it does demonstrate, though, that there is a will, political will, and there is the courage exists to at least face this huge problem, face the truth. There were scenes of jubilation at the end of the summit as the deal was reached and the gavel brought down. Yeah. Seemed a bit self-congratulatory to me, but look, the collective effort to change the world, move the human world away from its current destructive path, will be enormous. No guarantee of success, of course. Alright, let me read you Article 15 of the agreement, just 1 and 2. 1. A mechanism to facilitate implementation of and promote compliance with the provisions of this agreement is hereby established. 2. The mechanism referenced to in paragraph 1 of this article shall consist of a committee that shall be expert-based and facilitative in nature and function in a manner that is transparent, non-adversarial and non-punitive. The committee shall pay particular attention to the respective national capabilities and circumstances of parties. Now, you tell me, does that fill you with confidence? Or does that inform you that this agreement lacks teeth, so to speak? It does not have a compliance enforcement mechanism. It relies on peer pressure, right? What of, say, Republican opposition in the United States to any action on climate change? Out-of-touch denialists could throw a big spanner into this Paris deal in the not-too-distant future. Former NASA scientist James Hansen, referred to in some circles as the father of climate change awareness, has called the talks in Paris a fraud. No action, just promises, just worthless words. He's lobbied hard for greenhouse gas emissions to be taxed across the board, a tax per tonne on carbon emitters. Personally, I like the sound of Hansen's idea, but obviously it's met with resistance, even from like-minded environmentalists. Okay, at this point I'll turn it over to the audience. Now, please feel free to have your say on the Paris deal. Praise, criticism, views on where we're headed, we being the species, or general views on the UN and global politics are welcome. So, with that said, until next time folks, I wish you well. Peace.